In this lecture, we are going to go over the GDPR data subject rights. These are restrict processing, not subject to automated decision-making, data portability, erasure, access and rectification, informed, and objection. This is our last mnemonic device for domain 1. I hope you've enjoyed these and are not too sad. Hopefully this real adorable panda on the right-hand side over here will help tide you over until our next one. Our mnemonic device for this lecture is real adorable pandas eat avocados in overalls. So cute. And our mnemonic device represents restrict processing, automated decision-making, not subject to, data portability, erasure, access and rectification, informed, and objection. Now, to make this mnemonic device work, I moved things around a little bit. I figured that, there are so many different terms that start with data, for example, that instead of having data portability, we would focus just on portability. Similarly, for automated decision-making, that we would start with the A and not the not. I figured automated decision-making would be easier to remember. And for informed and objection, I know those words on their own aren't quite clear, but we're going to go through these one by one. With regards to restricting processing, this means that data is marked to limit future processing. And the examples I've provided here include data being transferred from one system to another, rendering data unavailable, or removing data from a website. This applies when the accuracy of the data is disputed, when the processing is unlawful, when the controller no longer needs the data, or when the data subject objects to processing. Automated decision-making takes place when machine learning or some algorithm is given a bunch of data and renders a decision based on that data and its own formula. So ADM takes place when a machine is doing the decision-making and there's no or very little human involvement. That data subjects are not subject to automated decision-making applies without any data subject action. So this is not something that an individual has to request. It applies and is a general prohibition on actions that have a significant effect. Two prominent examples might be entitlement to a social benefit or to citizenship application. And so just for example, if you're applying for citizenship, then that decision on your citizenship in the European Union cannot be made by a machine. Controllers can only use ADM when it is necessary for performance of a contract, when it is authorized by law, and there is explicit data subject consent. Data portability takes place when data is transferred from a data subject to a data controller, or perhaps between two data controllers. Two examples that you're likely familiar with, if you've ever switched web browsers, maybe you have one web browser that you've been using for many years, it has all of your familiar bookmarks, you don't want to have to go to all of those websites and create new bookmarks. And so most web browsers now have a feature that allows you to download all of your bookmarks. You have this file, you go to your new web browser, you open up that file, and it imports all of your bookmarks. And so those bookmarks are portable. From one application to another, there's a common standard that web browsers use that allow you to transfer or port those bookmarks from one browser to another. Another useful example might be email. Imagine you're using one web-based email, but for whatever reason, you decide you want to change to another. Of course, that email that you've been using for many years has lots of archived emails and contacts that you don't want to lose. And so an example of data portability would be transferring all of your data from your current email, web-based email, to a new one, just as you would with the bookmarks example. When data is requested by a data subject, the controller must provide data in commonly used machine-readable formats. An example of a commonly used machine-readable format might be a CSV or comma-separated value document. Data portability applies when a data subject has provided the data, when processing is based on consent or contract, and processing is carried out by automated means. The provision of one's data cannot harm others, trade secrets, or other intellectual property. Erasure here is also known as the right to be forgotten, and it applies when data is no longer necessary, when a data subject has withdrawn their consent, when a data subject objects to processing, when the processing is unlawful, when erasure is legally required, and with regards to children and children's data existing within information society services. And here, information society services is a term of art that refers to social media. And so, for example, if a social media platform has unknowingly collected children's data, or perhaps knowingly, if it contains children's data and the collection of that children's data did not have parental consent, then that data can be erased. Requested erasure is required unless there is a valid legal exception, and this right to be forgotten flows downstream. For example, a controller must inform their processor, and the processor must also delete the data. Access and rectification. This is going to be in line with access and amendment that we've already looked at several times before. In the GDPR, data subjects will request access to their data, to their records, through a DSAR or data subject access request. And this request can help to understand the who, what, why, and how of a collection, as well as the data's processing. It confirms the lawfulness of the data collection. It informs the subject of their rights. And data subjects may also use this access request to request confirmation, a copy of their data, and a privacy notice. With regards to rectification, this is confirming accuracy. This provides a channel for data subjects to request amendment and correction. And through this mechanism, data subjects may also supplement a record. Informed here means that data subjects must be informed concerning the collection and processing of their data. Data subjects must understand businesses' use of their data, and controllers can inform subjects through notices. 3 examples of notices in the GDPR are layered notices, just-in-time notices, and privacy dashboards. The layered notice and just-in-time notice is identical to what we've seen in the US context. You'll remember that a layered notice is a summary of key information on the top, followed by the full privacy notice on the bottom. A just-in-time notice is provided immediately before the point of collection. And you also see privacy dashboards in the US context as well. This is essentially a web page where users can go and toggle privacy settings. Objection means a data subject's right to halt processing. And under at least 2 circumstances, a data controller can refuse to halt processing if there is a legitimate grounds to overrule the request, or if processing is necessary on legal grounds. And one final note, this is related to the data subject rights that we've gone over, but is really just a supplement to what we've reviewed this lecture. And this concerns request response. It's important to remember for the CIPP US that data controllers must respond within 1 to 3 months. Additionally, data controllers cannot charge a fee and they cannot refuse a request unless the request is unreasonably burdensome. Finally, data controllers must verify requester's identity. In this lecture, we've gone over the data subject rights under the GDPR. These are restrict processing, automated decision-making, data portability, erasure, access and rectification, informed, and objection. Our mnemonic device for remembering these data subject rights is real adorable pandas eat avocados in overalls. And I hope that can help you remember these.